our voice in the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
The Minister of Trade and Export Promotion, Tayyip Zitouni, has received here in Algiers the Secretary General of the African Continent Free Trade Zone, SLICAF, Wamikli Min. The Algerian Radio is celebrating the 67th anniversary of the creation of free and fighting Algerian radio by organizing an intellectual conference in the western province of Sidi Bel Abbas. As representatives of several Arab and European countries have renewed their call in Norway for a cessation of Israel's attacks on Gaza, more airstrikes have targeted the northern region of Jabalia, killing and wounding more Palestinians. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail from Radio Algeria International. I am joined today by my colleague Miriam for the reading of this news bulletin. Hello, Miriam. First in our news, the proceedings of the fifth session of the Algerian-Czech consultations were held yesterday, Friday, in the Czech capital, Prague, under the co-chairmanship of the Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and the National Community Abroad, Lunas Magraman, and the Secretary General or the Secretary of State of the Czech Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Radek Rubes. During the session, the two men tackled the various aspects of ongoing cooperation as they agreed on the importance of their support, especially in promising sectors. These consultations were an opportunity to exchange views and analysis on various regional and international issues of mutual interest, including the Palestinian cause and the situation in the Sahel and Western Sahara. On the sidelines of these consultations, the Secretary General of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs met with the Deputy Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Czech Republic, Jan Marian. The Minister of Trade and Export Promotion, Tayyip Zitouni, has received here in Algiers the Secretary General of the African Continent Free Trade Zone, SLICAF, Wamikli Min. On this occasion, the Secretary General of the SLICAF praised the Algerian efforts during the last 4 years under the leadership of the President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmadjid Tebboune, to accelerate the measures of the SLICAF through the incorporation of Algerian African ambitions and its opening to the African market with the opening of banks and permanent exhibitions of Algerian products in Mauritania and Senegal. Previously, the Algerian minister indicated during the proceedings of the Economic Forum on the Guided Trade Initiative as part of the SLICAF that Algeria officially adheres to the Guided Trade Initiative within the framework of the effective achievement of the agreement of the SLICAF. And the Algerian Radio is celebrating today the 67th anniversary of the creation of free and fighting Algerian radio by organizing an intellectual conference in the western province of Sidi Bel Abbas entitled Radio, the Voice of Free Algeria, Model of Committed Revolutionary Media and Example for the Media of the Resistance. On the occasion, Communication Minister Mohamed Lagab has affirmed that the flame of the liberation war should not be extinguished as long as the media remains its guardians. Algerian radio, which has always been an activist radio, is currently facing other challenges, in particular supporting local development. He added that the President of the Republic launched ambitious programs across the different regions of the country. It is therefore necessary for Algerian radio to present them and highlight the efforts of the state. The General Director of the Algerian Radio, Mohamed Baghali, for his part, underlined the importance of the media resistance, which joined the political, diplomatic and armed resistance after the success of the far-sighted vision of our revolutionaries. Let's listen to him.
We are here to commemorate an important anniversary, namely the creation of the secret radio of the Free and Fighting Algeria. Yesterday, our brave martyrs demonstrated the genius of engaging in the fight to expel the French colonialism and recover national sovereignty, and added to this power the power of the media when they decided on December 16, 1956 to launch the Free and Fighting Algerian Radio.
Mr. Baghali stressed that oppressive powers always lose their wars in the fields of information and ethics, as is the case today with the Zionist entity. To the Middle East now, where representatives of several Arab and European countries have renewed their call in Norway for a cessation of Israel's attacks on Gaza, more airstrikes have targeted the northern region of Jabalia, killing and wounding more Palestinians. According to Palestinian sources, 14 people were hit in the strikes that hit several houses in Jabalia. Other air raids were also carried out against the central part of the Gaza Strip, targeted for over 70 days now by the Israeli army's attacks. The Palestinian Health Ministry said that over 18,900 people have been killed and 55,000 others wounded in the attacks on Gaza. In this respect, the Director General of the World Health Organization rejected as unacceptable the detention by the Israeli forces of health workers in Gaza. Addressing the Union of Journalists accredited to the Geneva-based UN office, he stressed that there were no safe places for anyone in Gaza for both health and humanitarian workers. The head of WHO affirmed that over 130 UN workers had been killed in the Israeli attacks on Gaza that also targeted several humanitarian convoys. This came as several Arab and European foreign ministers meeting in Norway urged for an end to Israel's attacks and for the promotion of stability in the region. In a communique, they stressed that they were aware of the seriousness of the situation in Gaza and that the aggression must stop in the Palestinian territory. The meeting held in Oslo, at the request of Saudi Arabia, brought together the foreign ministers of Qatar, Jordan, Palestine, Turkey, Denmark, Iceland, Sweden, Belgium, the Netherlands, and Luxembourg. And for more news, I give the floor now to my colleague, Mariam.
Thank you, Mohammed. A journalist of Al Jazeera was killed and another was injured by an Israeli strike in the Gaza Strip. The TV channel editor-in-chief announced that the cameraman Samer Abu Daqa was killed in a school in Khan Yunis, stressing that the emergency services were unable to have access to the premises. Back to you, Mohammed.
And a UK destroyer has brought down a suspected attack drone in the Red Sea amid rising maritime tensions in the region. Britain announced last month that it was sending HMS Diamond, one of its most advanced naval vessels, to the Gulf to shore up its presence in the region. UK Defence Minister Grant Shapps said that HMS Diamond shot down a suspected attack drone which was targeting merchant shipping in the Red Sea. One Sea Viper missile was fired and successfully destroyed the target. HMS Diamond, a Type 45 destroyer, is conducting operations to ensure freedom of navigation, reassure merchant vessels, and ensure the safe flow of trade, according to the Defense Ministry. The deployment followed the outbreak of conflict between Israel and Hamas and the seizure of an Israeli-linked cargo vessel by the Yemeni Houthi group in the Red Sea on November 19. Meanwhile, Danish shipping giant Maersk said on Friday that it was pausing container shipments through the Red Sea off the coast of Yemen until further notice. This comes a day after one of its ships suffered a near miss, and as another vessel belonging to Germany's Hapag-Lloyd sustained damage but no injuries on Friday. The company said later on Friday that it was also considering halting shipments through the Bab el-Mandeb Strait. Over to you, Miriam.
The African Union Transition Mission in Somalia, AMISOM, is ready to resume to the second phase of the withdrawal of its troops next week. AMISOM has announced withdrawing its 3,000 additional soldiers and will transfer the control of several military bases to the Somali security forces by December 31st. AMISOM stressed in a communique that this marks a major stage in the continuous process of AMISOM responsibility transition to Somalis. The withdrawal is in accordance with the African Union communique and the UN Security Council's Resolution 2710. And now the United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity has announced that Colombia will officially host COP16 on the biodiversity next year from October 21st to November 1st after Turkey's withdrawal. The United Nations Convention on Biological Diversity has announced that Colombia will host COP16 on biodiversity. This COP will take place 2 years after the historical agreements concluding during the last negotiation in 2022 in Montreal, promising to preserve 30% of the lands and seas of the planet from 2030. It will be the occasion for the signatories to show their engagement, presenting their national biodiversity strategies and action plans, NBSAP. Colombian Minister of Environment and Sustainable Development, Zana Mohammed, stressed that hosting this COP16 represents an amazing opportunity for the richest countries and biodiversity in the world, adding that this will strengthen the importance of climate change and life's protection. Turkey was initially due to host the 16th edition, but withdrew on account of the earthquake that hit the country. And now the Kuwaiti Emir Sheikh Nawaf Al-Ahmed Al-Sabah has passed away at the age of 86. The announcement was made by the Kuwaiti news agency Kuna, which stressed that Sheikh Michel Al-Ahmed Al-Jabir Al-Sabah, aged 83, was appointed new Emir of Kuwait. Back to you, Mohammed.
And with this last piece of news, we'll come to the end of this news bulletin for today. Let's move on now to our weekly program, starting with the special program devoted to Isa Masoudi on the occasion of the celebration of the creation of the national radio. And it will be followed by another program on tourism in Algeria, compiled and presented by my colleague Jamal Silmani. As for me and my colleague, we'll be back tomorrow for a fresh edition of our news bulletin in English. Until then, stay tuned to Radio Algeria International, and bye-bye for now.
إخواني لا تنسوا شهداءكم من ضحوا لحياة البلاد بالنفوس والدماء.
Hello and welcome. The Algerian Secret Radio is considered the ancestor of the Algerian radio. Let's rediscover together the story of this revolutionary radio station. On December 16, 1956, aware of the role of the media in countering the influence of the colonizing media, the leaders of the FLN gave birth to a radio station, the voice of free and fighting Algeria, صوت الجزائر المكافحة, which on the western border of the Algerian territory broadcast its first message on the air. Here, radio of free and fighting Algeria, the voice of the Liberation Front, is addressed to you from the heart of Algeria. The latter will hatch a network of 16 radios across the Arab world, from Cairo to Baghdad, Benghazi, Damascus and Rabat, but also countries in Eastern Europe. This network will strongly contribute to publicizing the demands of the Algerian people. The programming of the Algerian Secret Radio was intended to report on the fighting waged by the Mujahideen, a form of propaganda made up of patriotic songs, religious oaths, and military and political commentaries, had the role of blowing the country with a wind of freedom and independence. The radio presenters had chosen to hide their identities behind pseudonyms imprinted with great figures of the Algerian history, such as Salah ad-Din, Uqba, or Jugurta. The latter sent their messages in French, Arabic, and Kabyle. This means of information and propaganda was perfectly suited to the socio-economic conditions of the Algerians at the time, marked in particular by a high rate of illiteracy and poverty. The Algerian Secret Radio has thus proved to be an effective tool in thwarting the false propaganda of colonial France and mobilizing the Algerian people around the goal of national independence. This radio broadcasts its programs on the short waves 2 hours a day, 1 hour in Arabic, half an hour in Kabyle, and half an hour in French. According to the magazine Al Jaish, for lack of substantial resources at the start and during the first 2 years, the Algerian Revolution had recourse to radio broadcasts from Arab countries, in particular from Tunisia and Egypt, to convey its voice to the Algerian people and to the entire world. In this context, the Sawt al-Arab, Voice of the Arabs radio station in Cairo devoted 3 weekly programs to Algeria, broadcast in both Arabic and French. Tunisian radio had for its part programmed a Tunisian program entitled Hear the Voice of Algeria, Sister Fighter, broadcast 3 times a week. A voice of the revolution will be remembered forever, that of journalist Aysam Saoudi, who died 20 years ago. In 1956, Aysam Saoudi was the president of the Union of the Algerian Students in Tunis. It was at that time that he joined Sawt al-Jazair, the Voice of Algeria, on Radio Tunis. Commentator and journalist until 1959, he was transferred to Nador Radio in Morocco. Following his assignment in the NLA transmission apparatus, he was then assigned to the Free Combatant Algeria Radio. Likewise, members of the FLN's external delegation, such as Professor Ahmed Toufiq al-Madani, lawyer Abdelrahman Kiwan, periodically commented on the Algerian Revolution in both Arabic and French languages, which has helped to enlighten Arab and international public opinion on the situation in Algeria and to explain the scope and objectives of the glorious Revolution of November. In addition, among the activists who prepared and hosted the Algerian secret radio programs, there were Sheikh Rida Madani Hawass, Rashid Abdeslam, Abdelrahman Mzian, and Sheikh Al-Qadi Al-Hashmi Tijani. Broadcasting from the interior bush in the west near the Algerian-Moroccan border, the local mobile radio station has started broadcasting in its first programs. According to one issue of Memoria magazine, the equipment for the mobile station consisted of a typical track-mounted transmitter device which had a range of 70-kilometer radius. Thus engaged in a real media and psychological war, the young Algerian secret radio has succeeded in a short period of time in rousing the wrath of the French soldiers who have tried on several occasions to neutralize this radio. So besides dealing with the hardships imposed by going underground, the radio also had to face multiple enemy attempts to suffocate it through jamming its broadcasts or outright bombardment of the station. On 2 occasions, in fact, the French colonial army bombed the premises, but without success. The first attempt took place in April 1957, 20 minutes after the end of the secret radio broadcasts. The second bombardment took place in July 1957, in full emission. Fortunately, the bombs dropped all fell outside the perimeter of the emission site. After independence, the Algerian state created Algerian Radio and Television (RTA) by the new institutions on October 28, 1962. From 1965, the state allowed the acquisition of equipment to ensure an area of more efficient broadcasting for radio on the national territory. This coverage was subsequently limited to a few large cities. In 1986, the foundation reorganized the Algerian radio and television broadcasting, in particular allowing the emergence of the National Foundation for Sound Broadcasting, which was founded within the framework of the Decree of April 20, 1991, as a general industrial and commercial establishment. That's it for today's program. From me, Azagassi, producer Mohamed Yousfi, thank you for joining us.
Welcome to your weekly program, Destination Algeria. I'm Jamal Samani. There are a number of great destinations in Algeria just waiting to be discovered. A curious mixture of cultures and influences, Algeria has something interesting to see in just about every city. The country is also the first largest on the African continent, so you can be sure that there are plenty of towns and cities to visit. Let's visit Algeria's fascinating destinations, you and I, together. Formerly known as Marnia, the town of Marnia is located in the Tlemcen province of northwestern Algeria, just 13 kilometers east of the border between Algeria and Morocco. One of Morocco's most important road networks, the National Route 6, or more commonly referred to as the N6, connects Marnia with major centers in Algeria's neighboring countries. Marnia is the second largest and most important town in the province, with the town of Tlemcen being the capital and chief commercial center of the province. Marnia is named in honor of a local Muslim saint by the name of Lalla Marnia. Her mausoleum, which was likely built in the 18th century, is located in Marnia. While it is not certain how old the town is, archaeological evidence suggests that prehistoric peoples occupied the area before being displaced by the Phoenicians. In 1836, the French colonial army came across the ruined settlement, which had apparently been an ancient Roman military post. According to inscriptions found at the time, the post had been occupied by a unit of Syrian archers, referred to as Numerus Syrorum, making it the westernmost outpost of the Roman province of Mauritania, Caesariensis, which had occupied parts of North Africa. The modern town of Marnia was built around the defensive forts established by the colonial French occupier in 1844. As Marnia is located around halfway between Tlemcen and the Moroccan city of Fes, it has long been a marketplace for regional nomads. It is also lies within the watershed of Wadi Tefna, making it the commercial center for agriculture, with the main products being wool and cereal, as well as being the business center for the lead mine located at Boubacar, around 30 kilometers south of the town. As the last town on the main transport route between Algeria and Morocco, Marnia is linked by road and rail to Oran, Tlemcen and Sidi Bel Abbas. The mausoleum of Lalla Marnia is the main historical attraction of the town, with the mineral spring of Hammam Bourara, located around 10 kilometers out of town, being a popular leisure destination. Notable people born in Marnia include the first president of independent Algeria, Ahmed Ben Bella, as well as prominent Algerian politician, Sidi Ahmed Ghazali. The second part of our program is for carpet lovers. Carpet weaving remains a much treasured tradition in Algeria, and visitors to the various local markets are sure to find a range of skillfully made carpets on sale at very reasonable prices. These carpets are generally woven from the sheep's wool, sometimes mixed with goat hair or camel hair to give the carpet extra strength and durability. The array of colors is amazing, with a variety of geometric style patterns seemingly endless. While each region in Algeria has its own style to some extent, they all use variations of geometric patterns. In March each year, the town of Ghardaia hosts a large carpet festival, giving weavers from all over the country the opportunity to meet with each other, display their work, and take part in competitions. The town of Ain al-Hammam in Upper Kabyle region also hosts a carpet festival during the year. All the modern synthetic fibers of today cannot measure up to the many fine qualities of wool because the surface of each individual wool fiber is coated with a thin membrane. It is able to shed water and resist strains. Individual wool fibers are three-dimensional spiral-shaped, thereby giving them natural elasticity. This allows the wool fiber to stretch up to a third more than its original length, but bounce back again to its original state. This is particularly useful for carpets that may have heavy furniture placed on it, and as once the furniture is moved, the indentation it caused soon disappears. Although wool is waterproof, each fiber has higher moisture content and therefore is different to burn, making a wool carpet the perfect choice for an in front of the fireplace. Wool is very receptive to being dyed, and its unique structure ensures that the color of the dye is drawn right into the fiber and stays there. Moreover, because of its unique structure, similar to overlapping scales, wool keeps dust and dirt near the surface of the carpet, making it easier to weep or vacuum off. So when visiting an Algerian market, go ahead and buy that spectacular hand-woven carpet, knowing that not only will it enhance any room you put it in, you are buying a high-quality and long-lasting memento of this fascinating North African country. This is Radio Algeria International. Thank you so much for listening.